So I want to talk very briefly how to treat flu during the flu season. Interestingly, this part of the US, we're getting into the summer, but for some reason, there seems to be something going around, and, there is some people that are coming down with a flu. If you listen to me clearly, you would sense or you will see that I'm a bit congested. Now, I'm saying this because, this is a time when people have flu. Some people don't want to make use of medication. People want to, look more into the natural options. So I came down with a flu yesterday evening. I've not had a flu for over 6 years now. This is like the first. And this is why I really want to speak on this, just to make people understand. So basically, when someone has a flu, some of the symptoms you experience are headaches. Sometimes some people experience chest pain, fever, cough, and catarrh. And in extreme cases, people have, prolonged coughing and very intense headaches. So in my own case, I'm just having a runny nose and catarrh. I've not experienced any headaches, neither have I experienced fever. And like I said, I have not had a flu for the past 6 years. And that I had this flu because I haven't really slept well for the past 3 days. I maybe just had, maybe an hour's sleep. And that's because my husband and my son, my baby, came down with the flu sometime this weekend. So my baby's symptoms were not so bad, but my husband, symptoms were really, really bad. He experienced headaches, catarrh, cough, and weakness, fatigue. For my son, it's just been the running nose and catarrh. At some point, he was experiencing fever, but I gave him some natural remedies, and right now, the only thing he's experiencing is catarrh. As of today, the cough subsided. Yes. So, one thing I want everybody to know is what helps people to really be able to fight off flus is your immune system. The immunity is a massive factor. And the way you can fight any kind of flu is to ensure that one, you have a very good diet, so you're eating nutrient-dense foods. Secondly, ensure that you take supplements. Now, I see that a lot of people do not do supplements, and that's because of all the news out there that claims that supplements are bad for one's health, which is not true. The problem we have is that a lot of people take more of synthetic supplements. You can do your research on this. When you take supplements that are not synthetic but are from natural sources, like from plants and our foods, you find that you will get the right vitamins or minerals from these supplements. So it's very important that apart from doing nutrient-dense foods, eating nutrient-dense foods, also take supplements. And it's important to take supplements not when the flu starts. You take supplements before the flu season. So examples of supplements I recommend to everybody is zinc. Zinc is the #1 supplement I have seen works effectively in addressing any kind of flu. The next is vitamin C, and then you have other supplements like magnesium and vitamin D, K2. Also, another very good supplement people should always have, in their kitchen pantry is elderberry. Elderberry is another very great supplement. If you can't find the supplement and you can find the fruit itself, then please go for the fruit. So the next thing people need to do is to ensure you're taking certain natural spices and herbs. This is so important. Regularly I try to take things like ginger, turmeric, garlic. If I don't take garlic, I make sure I do things like ginger and turmeric tea. Now, the reason for doing these teas based on these spices or from these spices is because these spices, these natural spices, are loaded with antioxidants that help to address any type of flu. So it's very important. You can make a tea out of ginger or out of turmeric. Some other kinds of herbs to look into: you have dandelion tea, which is great for flu seasons. You have even chamomile tea that helps you to relax, because you relaxing, relieving yourself of stress is very important during the flu season. Now, the next point which I want to emphasize is rest and sleeping at the right time. You need to ensure that after doing all of this, you take out time to rest. You also make sure you go to bed early. So go to bed as early as 10 or 10:30. Now, I'm saying this because, like I said, I have not had flu for over 6 years now. This is like the first time. And the reason for that, which, makes total sense, is, because when my husband and baby caught the flu, I didn't get the flu. They caught the flu on Sunday, and I was very strong. I didn't have any headaches. I didn't have anything. I didn't have any flu symptoms. But as at yesterday, I discovered that I started feeling a bit weak, and I also started having cough and catarrh. Those were the only things I saw that I had, and the reason for that is because I had been sleep deprived for 3 days, and that's because because my baby has the flu. It's very difficult for him to breathe well at night, and he coughs a lot. So I have to be up, to ensure that I relieve him of the mucus, and also ensure that, I give him the natural things that will relieve him of the symptoms. And one of the things I do is ensure that I breastfeed him very well, because here's the thing: the supplements and everything you're taking is going to be in your breast milk, and that will be sufficient enough for the baby. Also, another thing I started doing for him is to give him certain, fruit purees. So things like apples, and then I put a little bit of ginger, very little in it. And I see that it's really doing him a lot of, good in relieving the symptoms. Another thing I did for him, was to chop onions and put on his leg. Now, I'm going to describe that in the caption for people who are curious about this. This is a remedy, and I've seen that it really works. I remember the first day I put onions on my son's leg, same for my husband, and I left it there for about 12 hours. The amount of mucus that came out of my son was enormous. For my husband, yes, he was having a runny nose, all the mucus were coming out, but as at yesterday, he started getting better. So he's not been to work for 2 days, but as at this morning, you could see he was so energized and he was able to go to work. So again, I want to encourage everyone, if you are looking into natural remedies to address flu, please read the caption on this video and ensure that, again, first, you must have a very nutrient dense diet, and avoid sugar, that's artificial sugar foods. Avoid foods that are ultra processed, so foods that are packaged. Avoid all those foods, things like biscuits, all those things, because those things reduce your immunity. And so when people have flus, people who feed on those foods, you find that they cannot handle the flus. They really come down. In fact, a lot of them cannot even move around. Their immunity, which is their defense mechanism, is not able to fight off that virus or that flu. So it's very important that you make sure you eat well-nourished meals. And then another thing, the last thing I want to emphasize on is drinking lots of water. Make sure you stay hydrated. Ensure that whenever you have a flu, drink lots of water, because this helps. When you take all the supplements and food, what happens is when you're sleeping, all those things you have taken, they go to do the work in your body. You find that all the dead cells in your body get repaired. A lot of things start happening, and at the end of the day, if the person is consistent with this practice, you find that your flu shouldn't stay for more than 4 days tops. Like my husband, I said he had the flu on Sunday, and as of today he's back to work and he's doing very well. So I just want to encourage anyone, again, if you want to look into the natural remedies, there are lots of remedies that people can do, but again, first, make sure that you have a good diet. Secondly, supplement. Thirdly, make sure you rest and sleep at the right time. And the last thing is ensure you're well hydrated with lots of water. Yeah. All right. Do take care, and I wish you all God's peace and blessing.